My name's Brian. I'm working with a team of a couple artists right now, Danielle and John, on the project that we've dubbed Radiant Runefist. The big thing is it's a run and gun kind of game, so similar to Mega Man, but our big unique thing is that I want it to have gravity control functions, and now what that is it's going to be a thing where you can flip from let's say there's a box in front of you. I have something to show later on that, but there's a box in front of you. You can use a button on the controller or keyboard to flip the screen so that you're on the ceiling or down here, and the box will move with you, so you can then jump over it or something like that. The other big thing is our setting, which I really like. We are doing a Viking, Norse mythology thing. And so that's what the whole Runefist is it's going to be a Odin's gauntlet. He lost it. It fell from Asgard down to you, and you're tasked with going and collecting all the runes that fell off of this fist. Now, the way you will do that is by beating 6 bosses as you climb up the tree, and I will show that later as well. But I think this game will be really fun, and I love Mega Man and all that kind of stuff, and I know a lot of people here at the school that do, so I really wanted to make kind of an ode to the older SNES games with this as well. So I just wanted to show some stuff on how it'll work, just like I was mentioning earlier. So it'll be kind of like Mega Man in the way where you'll get powers for each rune. As you can see on the top here, he's going up against like an ice guy, and his regular stuff won't work. So he changes over to the Fire Fist, and he gets to kill the ice guy. You'll get the runes from each boss that you fight, and by fighting bosses in a certain order, which you'll get to choose, some ways will be easier and some ways will be harder. Like, for example, if you fight the fire boss first and you go up against the ice boss, obviously you'll do better against the ice boss with the fire powers. Secondly, I showed the gravity controls here. You're going to start out with 1 rune already in the fist. And so he's got some boxes blocking his way there. So he changes the gravity and the boxes fall up to the top of the screen so he can jump over them. The next thing I wanted to show really roughly is the boss tree. So we're going to start you out at the bottom here, and one big critique I got on it is that with Mega Man, since you get to choose which boss you face first, no matter what you want to do, there is a set way you're supposed to go to make it easier on yourself to beat bosses, but they don't tell you it. And I thought there was kind of a problem with that. I thought they should at least give you some kind of path to follow. So there is an ancient tree in Viking legend, and that's kind of what I'm going up on. So you'll start down here at the bottom against 1 boss. That'll give you a rune that will help you face one of the next 2 bosses up here, but you'll have to choose there, so that'll be a little bit harder. And then the boss that you don't face first will probably be easier with the other boss's power, and so on, all the way up to the final boss where you'll need all of the runes to face him and defeat him with a giant power spirit bomb type of blast thing. Next, just gameplay elements. The only other big thing I can say about gameplay elements that I haven't said before is Mega Man never had a crouch, and I thought that was a big problem. So I'd really like to have a crouch in there. Gravity controls, like I said before, run and gun. Our main influences are Mega Man, Mighty No. 9, and Shovel Knight. Also, a big thing about art is we're going to be doing for the splash art and stuff like that, I'd like a mix of Western and anime. But in-game, we're going to do more pixel art stuff. So if you guys are interested in that, if you've done some, or if you're interested in learning it, I have some books and stuff on that to teach the people that might want to get on the team pixel art. Lastly, that was supposed to look better, but our platforms were Steam and Microsoft and Sony marketplaces. I don't really think we need a physical version right now, but just the downloadable ones will be good enough. And then the goal, I think we can get it done in 1 semester, especially me and the guys were planning on working on it over the summer a bit, so especially if we get that running start in the summer, I believe it's totally possible to do in 1 semester, even with a pretty small team. So lastly, the people that we need, I did a nice little pixel art of the fist over there. We'd need coders, obviously. I think the engines we'd be running in is either Flash or Unity, so if you're familiar with either of those, that would be great. One or two more artists might be nice because I do plan on doing actual sprite sheets and stuff like that, so we will need some more artists. Animators, mostly 2D. We could use 3D. I suppose I could find places for them as well. And then level designers are a must. I don't have anybody to do that yet, so I would love that. And sound tech, but I know some people for that as well. So, lastly, just have our reference page here. We have all the pixel art stuff, all the stuff that's kind of similar to Mega Man, all the stuff that really influenced me to make this game. And the last thing I'd like to bring up about it is it's obviously come back and been successful, as these three at the bottom here can suggest, and the Mighty Number 9, that this can be a successful type of game out there in the market where 3D is usually the norm. So, and that's my pitch. So I'll have the guys come up, and I'm ready to take questions. This is Danielle and John. John's from illustration. Danielle's actually a graduate student from game design. So, and I've known them for years, and I know they'll do great work. So,
hi, I'm Corey. A couple questions real quick. It looked like you had about 7 worlds sketched out. Is that about what you're planning as far as getting done in a semester? Or?
Just about the main. I was thinking more of 6, just to scope it down a little bit more.
Okay.
The 7th one is pretty much going to be just a boss battle with the big final boss for the most part, I think.
Okay, and then branching off that question, does that mean you're going to have different powers, like Mega Man powers? Is it just different projectile types, or is there other mechanics besides gravity per world?
I would like to not just do standard Mega Man elements like fire beats ice and, I don't know, rock beats fire or something like that. I would like to think of something a little bit more creative, which the snake guy, when I had him in my on my screen, that looked really good. He would be great for, like, I don't know, making your fist like shoot you forward and like serpentine towards someone or something like that. So that's kind of the thing. I want to keep it in the Norse mythology as well.
Okay. So when you're done, you'll have a bunch of different mechanics, not just like a Mega Man plus gravity. It'll be Mega Man plus gravity plus, special powers and things.
Yes.
Like that. Okay.
Yes.
And then, how many enemies do you think you'll have per world? And like, will you reuse them, or will each world have their own enemies or their own sprites, animations, and all those things that you'll have to do? And what do you imagine the scope of work is going to be? And
I think with 5 to 6 artists, we should be able to get what I'm thinking of done. And I would reuse a couple of sprites from each world, just as like the minor characters, like how you have in Mega Man, the guys with the little helmets. Mm-hmm. They're like in every level. I would probably have different variations of some kind of enemy that was like that in each world. But I would also like different enemies in each world that reflect what that world's like. Because the worlds are going to also reflect what the boss is like. So.
Right. So at 6 worlds, you're looking at 6 plus maybe like 1 or 2 plus, so like 18 different characters.
Just
plus
about.
The different, the main character, when he changes his gem, is he going to change his sprites out so he looks different? Or is it going to be a palette swap? Or?
It would probably be a palette swap for the most part. If we had the time, it would be cool to get an actual separate sprite done for him. But for now, I would say the palette swap is the best way to go on that.
Okay, cool.
Also, your shirt's amazing.
Hi, my name's Hee-In Yin, and I had a question about, like, how are you guys gonna face with the visual effects of the game? Like, are you gonna do it as a sprite sheet and then make it, or like, is it gonna be having a separate person that's gonna be working on the visual effects?
I haven't worked in Unity too much, but I know they have a good 2D program. So I would probably get my designers and coders to work on that aspect of it, but I would want to do sprite sheets because I think that's the easiest way to get the animations out there, because you can just change out sprites when you need a different action or something like that, and animate it all that way. As far as any, like, I don't know, explosions or something like that, it would just be sprite sheets the same way, I think.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Brian, and I'd like to ask you a question about, are you going to be shooting in multi-directions, or are you going to be shooting just like Mega Man and just, standard?
I think he would be mostly just forward and maybe up, but even then I didn't think, I played I recently did a stream for these two guys of Mega Man X, and Mega Man doesn't have an up, and I don't really see a need for an up shot right now, so I think just forward would be fine.
And then the second part of my question is, are you going to be using gravity as a function to shoot and kind of cheat that? Does that make sense? So if you switch gravity and things were kind of flying around, would you use that?
It would be more for enemies than your actual character. Okay. They could probably use it to their advantage, but you can also, like, let's say if you have a big Snorlax-like enemy blocking your path, you can reverse the gravity and he'll like fall through the ceiling or something like that.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Krista.
Hello, Krista.
Nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
So with a scope like this and so many bosses and so many different characters, would you be open to expanding the life of the project for 2 semesters?
I would be open to it, but especially if I can find a team like I had on Lightweaver, where they were willing to work over the summer on it on their own time, which I think is totally possible. I don't think we would need the 2 semesters to do it. If it really needed the polish, I guess, but even then we could do it over winter break or something like that. And it was a good question that actually just brought to mind. I would actually like to sell this game at the end of it, so.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks, Krista.
Hey, I'm back. My question is specifically about your levels. You have about 7, you said, worlds planned. How long are you expecting the levels to be in the gameplay time overall for the entire game?
The levels themselves, I would say, won't be too long by themselves, but with the enemies and stuff, I do want it to be kind of that old school hard. So I would say each level could, if you knew how to work in the level, you could probably beat each level in about 30 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. But if you don't and you're just getting into it for the first time, the level can take, an hour maybe.
All right, cool, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Online question.
A sack of potatoes wants to know if...
Oh, I know that guy.
Since you are delving into a Scandinavian style, have you thought of maybe having the powers and abilities be blessings from deities?
I didn't really think of that only because the runes come off of the fist as it falls from Asgard. So I mean, I guess those would already be blessings. It's Odin's gauntlet. So I think it's already blessed as it is. That's why it's radiant Runefist and not just like Runefist, because it's already radiant. It's already blessed and all that such stuff. Good. Any other questions? Okay. All right.
All right, everybody, let's give a big hands, please, to Old God Entertainment and Radiant Runefist.